Welcome to the workshop. I'm Jeff and this is Fun Sized Adventures. And you're probably just like this guy here. You are a dad who wants to set up a backyard zip line for his kids to have a blast on. But there's some things you gotta consider before you do that, otherwise you'll end up just like him. I really hope that guy's okay. Now, a quick search on YouTube will reveal that there's no shortage of zipline fails out there. You can almost get the impression that backyard zipline is dangerous, but if you install it correctly and follow certain principles, there's really nothing to worry about. It's just as safe as, probably safer than a trampoline, honestly. There's plenty of trampoline fail videos out there too. But today we're going to specifically consider the angle of the zipline. And to explain that, I've got my paper and I've got my crayon because I'm 5 years old and they won't trust me with markers anymore. There's a nice little fluffy tree right there. Now you have your zip line going from tree A to tree B. Now almost all backyard zip lines are going to recommend that you install them at a grade between 3 and 6%. So what that means is that for every 100 feet of distance, you want between 3 and 6 feet of vertical drop. Let's say your zip line distance is 75 feet. So you'd want to take your 75 feet and then divide it by 100. Which in this instance would take you to 0.75. This number would be 1% grade. So take that, multiply it by 3. So that would give you a 3% grade that was 2.25 feet of vertical drop. And if you double that, 4.5 feet, that would be 6% grade. So you had a 75-foot zip line, somewhere between 2 foot 3 inches and 4 foot 6 inches of drop is what you want to aim for. So back to our original examples here. Let's say that both of these lines are installed at a 3% grade, but that's not the only factor you need to consider. The second is how tight your zip line is. Now the tighter it is, the faster you're gonna end up going. Because the tighter a zip line is, the more closely you're going to follow this line. But if your zip line has a little bit of slack, you're effectively going to ride it like this. That's a little bit low, but you get my point, is that the weight of the rider as he moves down the line is going to stretch the line. So the first part is going to be steeper downhill, but then you're going to actually have to go slightly uphill towards the end. But if it's tighter, you're not gonna have that uphill section at the end to help aid you in braking so you don't crash into the tree. Tighter that you get the zip line, probably the shallower grade you want. Whereas if you got a little bit of slack in your zip line, you're going to be able to be aided in slowing down by this little uphill section. Most modern backyard zip lines have a spring brake on this last little section, but that's really just to slow you down the last little bit. You want to be going slightly uphill that last quarter of the zip line in order to be slowing you down gradually, and not that. That's when you get these people that are like looping out, is because they're just slamming into the brake at the end. And the last item to consider is the rider's weight. Just like we said with how tight the zip line is, a heavier rider is going to sag the zip line further, which means they're going to accelerate faster at the beginning, but then they're going to have a little bit more of a hill to go up at the end. And that's another reason why you see a lot of these fail videos have adult riders riding a kid's zip line, is because they're accelerating a lot faster than they expected. If I had to guess, that zip line in the example video was probably between 150 feet and 200 feet long. But that, you can see it went over the top of a shed, so that dropped pretty significantly, probably 20 feet. Which, let's even go with the 200. That would be a 10% grade, which is nearly double ideal. Ideal would be 5%, so that was way too steep. Because as that goes and you have a heavier rider, you're still getting some sag, but then even with the sag, this last little bit is still pretty much level, if not still slightly downhill, and that's when you're getting in trouble. Especially at a 10% grade, you're picking up so much speed, and then you don't have that uphill to save you at the end. All right, now that was a lot of information to digest. Let's head out into the yard, and I'll show you how to actually do this in a real-world situation, using minimal tools, maybe even just using your cell phone. All right, this tree is going to be the top tree of our zip line. We're not really setting it up today because there's snow on the ground, as you can see. We want to install it about as high as a kid can reach, so probably about here would be good. So what we want to do is find the level spot as if the line was perfectly level on the tree we're going to end on, which is down over there. And here's how we're going to do it. If you have a level, you can hold that up to the tree, and then get it so the bubble goes right in the center. Our ending tree is down there. I want to get that bubble perfectly straight, and then look right down the edge of the level. And pick a spot that's lining up with on the tree that we're going to end on. And if you don't have a level, you could also use your phone. I have an iPhone, and if I go to the Measure app, we have a level. So you can basically do the same thing. It'll go like that. You want to get it to 0, maybe. Where is it? 0. It's going to be slightly more difficult this way, but you can still get it done. So now we want to go down to that spot. But as we go, we want to measure what distance our line is going to be. So we can either use a tape measure, or we could just walk it off with our paces, putting one foot in front of the other, because that's going to be accurate enough for this. So the level spot that I was looking at is actually way up there. So now it was 60 feet of length to get to here. So at a 3% grade, we got to do some math. So 60 feet divided by 100 equals 0.6. Then times 3 to get to 3% grade would be 1.8. So that's close enough to 2. So between 2 feet and 6% grade would be 3.5 feet. So between 2 feet and 3.5 feet, can't talk well. Yep. So between 2 feet and 3.5 foot down from that mark is where we want to be. So this is a 2-foot ruler. That's 2 feet. So we want to be, so about right there would be where we want to attach our line to get about middle of the road, about a 5% grade. All right, so after all that, I hope you have the information you need to not end up like this guy. But as I mentioned, angle is only part of the puzzle. The other part is how tight you get your zip line. If you want to know more about how to get your zip line as tight as possible without getting too tight, check out this video right here where I'll go over just that. See you over in that video, and until next time, get out there and have a fun-sized adventure of your own.